started. So thanks very much for that, Christine. So as I said, my name is Emma Polette and I am a personal trainer. I'm a health coach. I'm a yoga teacher and I'm based in Albany in Western Australia. And I am the founder of Blue Sky Vitality and Hug Your Hormones. And I'm really excited to have you here for this webinar, which is all about finding solutions to those excuses for not exercising. I've just come back from a 6 weeks medical leave. Most of you probably know I had a hysterectomy at the beginning of the year, so quite major surgery. And this is the first week that I've been able to teach classes and get back into my fitness, and very slow going. But I've just come back from a class and I had to do a little bit of boxing myself because we had uneven numbers. And I've just remembered how amazing exercise makes me feel. So I'm just so passionate about bringing that to as many women as I possibly can, because I think if we focus mostly on how exercise makes us feel, as opposed to, punishing our bodies and trying to make ourselves look perfect, I think that's when we get the best benefits from exercise. And often that really good body or, that change in your body will come with the regular exercise. But if we take that pressure off ourselves and just focus on how amazing it makes us feel, then, we're more likely to get the other benefits that come with exercise as well. So really, really passionate about sharing exercise with as many women as I can. And this webinar is about just helping people bust through some of the common myths or the common excuses that we make up for ourselves about why we can't exercise and, what's more important in our lives than exercise. So very glad to have you here, and I'm really excited to share with you what I've put together. Okay, so before we get started, you will have a workbook that you can work through that came through on your emails. So if you don't have it with you, that's fine. You can still use it, the webinar. You can still use the workbook because I will actually talk you through the workbook as well. So the first thing I want you to do is on a piece of paper or in your workbook, if you've got it there, is to write down the number one reason why you've made this time to come to this training, or why you've registered for the training and you're watching it later on, because I know a lot of people can't come live. But if you could write down now the number one reason why you've made this training a priority for you. And once you've done that, I want you to then write down the result you would like to achieve out of coming to this particular training session. So whether it's to start an exercise program, or to feel better about what you're doing already, or to, get motivated to do something new, whatever that is, but really find what you want to achieve. Because if you don't have any goals for this particular session, then you're not going to get anything out of it. I've just fed my dogs and they're going to start playing a little bit, so hopefully they're not going to be too noisy during this session. Okay, so a little bit more about me for people who haven't met me before. Just over 5 years ago, I was working in a corporate environment in Sydney, and I was a national sales manager for a large multinational company, and I was completely burnt out. I had spent almost 9 years in this industry that I'd kind of fallen into without really planning on it. And I was stressed out. I was putting on weight. I was drinking too much. I was, really unhappy. And I also had very severe endometriosis, which I still had until recently. But I was just really unwell, and I wasn't prioritizing exercise and health at all because I was just so busy. So that might be an indicator of what some of the excuses might be to why we don't exercise, but time is definitely one of them. So I'd gotten to a point, though, I'd had some major surgery at the end of 2011, and I was feeling pretty broken and tired and, unhappy. So at the same time, I wasn't looking for it, but at the same time, someone had dropped a little thing in my letterbox about some local boxing classes that were just around the corner. It was a 10-week course or something like that. And I thought, well, there's no excuse. It's on a weekend. I can make it. I'm going to try it out. And after 3 classes, I was hooked. I was sore and I was not very fit, but I was hooked because I was really getting those endorphins. I was really starting to see a change in my body, and it was such an amazing stress relief for me. So I just loved it. And within about 3 to 4 weeks, I had decided I wanted to chuck in my whole corporate life and I wanted to become a personal trainer because I just loved it so much. So by the end of 2012, I had quit my job. I'd moved back to Western Australia where my family is, in a country town in Albany, or, quite a large regional town, but, far, far away from my Sydney life. And I'd started to study for my personal training. And Blue Sky Vitality was born from that. And I have been doing boxing classes now for over about 3 years. And as I said, I just walked away from one, half an hour ago, and I absolutely love it still. And I think every woman should try boxing, because not only is it really good for your health and fitness, but I think it's great for stress reduction when you get to punch things. So that's sort of my story of how I got to become a personal trainer and why I'm so passionate, because I was that person that didn't exercise much. I was that person that had lots of excuses. And now I'm someone that loves to exercise and really misses it when I haven't been able to for the last few weeks. Okay, so if we go back to our workbook now, as I said in the workbook, the other thing I want to just point out is if you've got questions, particularly at the end of the session, please feel free to write questions as we go or feedback as we go in the chat box. That's completely available to you as well. But write down any questions you've got, because then I can cover them off at the end of the session if we don't get to them. Okay. So if we go back to the workbook, I'm just looking for it now, so I get to go through it. Now we want to talk about the 5 biggest exercise excuses first. So I'm going to tell you what they all are right now. And if I don't actually cover off one that you really wanted answered, then please write it in the chat box. And I can cover it for you. Or you can, if you're watching this on a replay, you can send me an email at emma@blueskyhealth.net and I can answer it for you as well. But I think a lot of excuses actually come down to these top 5, and there's actually a bonus one because I think there's another one that holds people back as well. But let me take you through the 5 and then I'll help you with the bonus 6th one. So the first one, as I mentioned earlier, is time. So if we don't feel like we have enough time, we're too busy prioritizing everybody else, then exercise becomes the last thing that's important in our lives, and it doesn't happen. So time's number 1. Excuse number 2 is just a lack of energy or a lack of motivation behind exercise. So being tired and lacking motivation are often 2 sides of the same coin, because I do have clients that are very tired. They might have underlying health issues that increases their fatigue, but they are still prioritizing their exercise. So I sometimes think when people say they're tired, it often is a motivation thing. And I'll get to another reason that's tired as well. But in terms of just, I don't have the energy today, then that is probably a lack of motivation. So that's excuse number 2. Excuse number 3 is I don't like exercise. Don't like it. Don't like sweating. Don't like putting on trainers. Don't like tracksuit pants. Don't like anything to do with exercise. So I completely get that, and we will go through that excuse as well. That's number 3. And excuse number 4 is I'm not something enough. So it might be I'm not fit enough, because some people think they need to be fit to go to an exercise class, whereas no, you go to the exercise class to become fit. So there's I'm not fit enough. I'm not flexible enough. A lot of people won't try yoga because they don't think they're flexible enough, but actually yoga will help them to become flexible. It might be I'm not skinny enough to wear the exercise gear that's trendy, or I'm not trendy enough, or I don't have enough exercise gear, or things around how you look and how you might be perceived in a class depending on how you're dressed. I'm not a mum, and it's only the yummy mummies that do the classes, or I'm too old, so I'm not young enough. So many different reasons, and really you can take the something enough out, because really that excuse is I'm not enough. I don't feel good enough to go to a fitness class. So we'll cover off some of those, how to find solutions for that problem. And then the 5th reason is when you are actually injured or you're sick. so you can't exercise, and I will cover off a little bit around that. So there are 5 excuses, and now we're going to move through the solutions to those excuses. So at this stage, does anyone feel like I've missed any of the big reasons why you wouldn't exercise? Because if you do, you can write them in the chat box and I will cover them off. But I think those 5 things generally cover it off. And as I said, I've got a bonus one at the end. So just let me know in the chat if you've got any questions or any comments at this point, or if you feel like I've nailed your excuse about why you're not exercising at the moment, if that's the case for you. Sorry, my dogs are really fighting. I hope they're not too loud. All right. Thanks. Mika? Is it Mika or Micah? I've never known, so I hope I don't get it wrong, and one day I'll meet you and I'll find out for sure. Okay. Micah. Perfect. Thank you, Micah. All right. So exercise excuse number 1 is I don't have enough time. And I think the time excuse often really does come down to a perfection issue. So if I'm not going to do something perfectly, I'm not going to do it at all. So people will be like, I'm not going to be able to get to a whole class at the gym because A, it's an hour long, B, I've got to drive there, C, I've got to put the kids into daycare, D, it's on at the wrong time. So there's all these things about, why I can't do it, but really it's because if I don't do an hour's exercise at the gym, then I'm not doing it properly. So what's the point? So I think a lot of the times that time problem or that time excuse actually comes from a feeling of needing to do things perfectly all the time. So some of my ways to fix a time problem, the first one is that you can definitely break your exercise down into smaller chunks. So do 10 minutes at a time. I've even written a blog post about a 1-minute exercise routine you can do. And one of my biggest theories about exercise, it's better to do something than nothing. Okay, so it's better to do a quick 1-minute round when you've got 1 minute to spare than to do nothing at all. And again, that's a perfectionism thing. So finding 10 minutes should be fairly simple. Finding a minute should be a possibility to you. So breaking it down into smaller chunks is definitely a good way to start because, again, some exercise is always better than none. You can get an endorphin rush and feel amazing just from that 1 minute of quick cardio, okay? So breaking it down into smaller chunks. Also with the time thing is putting it in the diary like it's another appointment. So if there is a class that's at the gym that you enjoy, actually break it into your diary. So I've got a client that's recently got a new full-time job and she's enjoys my yoga classes. So she's actually talked to her boss and she's been able to come to my 1 o'clock lunchtime class and she's got that in her diary. And so she's going to plan her day around that class to make sure she can still come to the classes. So if you put it in the diary like it's any other appointment, like going to the doctors or, any other thing that you need to do, and if you work full-time, if you're able to fit that into your full-time routine, maybe during the middle of the day, so it's not cutting into your family time, then that's another way that you can fix that time problem. And the third one is making an appointment to go with a friend. So I'm currently, because I'm easing myself back into my exercise after my surgery, I've started going swimming and I've made an appointment with a friend and we're going once a week to go to the pool. And again, if I didn't do that with her, that's exercise I wouldn't be doing because I'm going to meet her at the pool. Now, to be perfectly honest, we've only done it every second week. We've not managed to make it every week. Last time I had an excuse, this time she had an excuse, but they were genuine excuses, by the way. There was like something that came up at the very last minute. But even still, that's, one little bit of exercise every fortnight that we've managed to do that we wouldn't have done otherwise. And again, it's letting go of that perfectionism. It's saying, I've done something, it's better than doing nothing. So I think breaking down your exercise into smaller chunks, putting it in the diary, making appointments with friends so that you feel committed, they're definitely ways that you can sort of circumnavigate that perfectionism, that time thing, but also understanding the time excuse is usually actually perfectionism. Okay, so just thinking about that in your own life, how does that fit in for you? So that's my solutions for the time problem. Secondly is the motivation / energy. And so sometimes energy is real fatigue and it's real illness, and it's really got to do with like an injury or something like that, which we'll cover off in excuse number 5. But if it's not that, if it's just like, oh, I don't have the energy today, when really you're quite able-bodied, then I think that's actually a motivational issue rather than an energy issue. Because as I mentioned before, I do have clients that do have, fatigue problems, but they still manage to do some exercise because they've got the motivation to do it. They see the benefits they get. So there's so many things you can do for this. Firstly, there's like the physical motivation. So maybe for you, the way you look, your weight, maybe your doctor's told you you're carrying too much weight. Maybe that is the motivation for you. I don't really prescribe to that one as much. I'm carrying a bit of extra weight at the moment after my surgery, but I'm feeling good, so I don't really mind the extra weight. But if for you that weight carrying is something that really motivates you, use that as your motivation. If you want to look really good, then maybe that's a really good motivation for you, but it's not for everybody. Another one might be like a real logical motivation. So maybe your doctor has told you that you're borderline type 2 diabetes and you need to lose some weight to, reduce that, or you just need to get more physical, because you don't even need to lose weight to actually exercise will help with those kind of things anyway. So maybe it's a real logical thing, or maybe it's like, you're like, for me, my father died when he was 54 of a heart attack, and he wasn't even overweight or anything like that. But that sort of motivates me to stay healthy, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to die at 54, because that's only 11 years from now. So things like that, real logical things, can be a motivation. Emotional things can be a motivator. So I know a lot of women, and especially older women, once they've had grandkids, are like, I want to be healthy so that I'm around for my grandkids. I love those kids to death and I just want to be there. You know what I mean? So finding a real emotional attachment to why you want to exercise, why you want to increase your lifespan, and why you want to feel good and energetic so you can chase around after the kids and have fun with them instead of feeling breathless and tired all the time. So you might want to tune into a real emotional reason why you should exercise. And then there are other things that can motivate. So sensual things like essential oils, like I'm really into doTERRA essential oils and Motivate. They've got a blend called Motivate. And for me, it really does motivate me. It makes me feel quite amazing. And right now I've got like another blend, Citrus Bliss and some peppermint just diffusing, because that gets me, that gets my energy going and makes me feel more like I can talk more and things like that. So, it's good for me when I'm doing a webinar. So, things like that. If you find that essential oils motivate you, or having a nice smoothie makes you feel good, or whatever it is that makes you motivated, then use that to help you exercise as well. And then there's some real practical things you can do. So tracking your exercise, using things like apps to track and see how you're improving over time, or how many minutes you've done, and try and beat your minutes from last week can be a motivator for some people. Getting a tribe of people around you. So getting a community of people that are doing the same thing as you, whether it's going to a class in person, or whether it's being in a Facebook group that's talking about exercise, or even, and I'll talk a bit about this at the end, but my Fun Fitness online program, that's just finished up, the last round just finished up last weekend, and it's been a real community builder. And there's some people that have jumped on board for the second round already because they really enjoy that community feel, and they know that they're being supported by a group of like-minded people. So having that community can be a massive motivator, and you just can't underestimate that. So, getting your partner to exercise with you, doing exercise that the kids enjoy, things like that, and you're all keeping each other on track, can be a massive motivator. And that gets you energized. It's like, well, if, you know, my mate on Map My Fitness is doing some exercise, I want to do some too. So that can be really energizing and motivating. So they're some of my solutions for if you're feeling, you know, a bit unmotivated when it comes to exercise, not feeling energized towards exercise, then they are some things you can try. All right, excuse number 3 is I don't like exercise. I don't like getting sweaty. I don't like putting on exercise gear. I don't like being in a group. I don't want to go to a gym. It smells, whatever. So there's like that whole exercise isn't for me. I don't enjoy it. Now, I think for this one, it's key to then change your mindset of what exercise actually is. So, for instance, last night, I went to a belly dancing class for the first time. And, you know, believe me, that's exercise, particularly after you've just had surgery. But, you know, that's a lot more fun, and it's, you know, than going to the gym, in my opinion. And it's a lot more kind of community, and it's caring and nurturing and fun. You know what I mean? So trying something completely out of the box could be a way to do it. If you're not into groups and you don't like trying new things that's scary, then that's not going to work for you. But maybe you could think about what did you used to do as a child for exercise? What did you enjoy doing? So maybe it was, you know, maybe you're actually a long distance runner. I know my brothers were. I never was. But, you know, you could try challenging yourself, getting there's an app called Couch to 5K, and it teaches you how to, from sitting around on the couch doing nothing, how to run a 5-kilometer track in like 6 weeks or something like that, or 8 weeks. So, you know, trying something that you used to be good at as a child and doing it again now. Or maybe you played tennis as a kid and you haven't picked up a tennis racket in, you know, 15 years or something. So just finding those things that really sparked you and made you feel like fun when you're a kid. I was talking to someone today because I'm going to Bali shortly, and they'd just come back from Bali, and they said, are you going to go to that water park place? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And she goes, oh, it's so much fun. Like, it just makes you feel like you're a kid again. And I thought, you know, that's what we should be doing. So finding those things that you used to do, doing them again, trying them out. And then, you know, what else lights you up? So maybe you love going bushwalking. Maybe being out in nature makes you feel good. That is exercise. You don't have to be grunting and groaning and pushing up weights and getting really hugely sweaty to be exercising. You should be exercising so it feels good. So if you like to go out and walk in nature, yes, Christine, it was with Rose. My belly dancing was with Rose. Yeah, if you want to get out in nature and that makes you feel good, then go and do something like that. You know, if you and your husband or partner enjoy a bit of hanky-panky in the bedroom, that's actually awesome exercise. Do more of that if that lights you up. So just do whatever in your life actually makes him, yeah. I'll tell him if you want, Jen. I'm happy to. Yeah, but whatever makes you feel good. And so it doesn't have to be that stereotypical, you know, going hard at the gym. You can exercise in any way that makes you actually feel good. And then the other thing is, if you are really anti-exercise, you really, like, if I've just talked to you about that and you can't think of one thing that floats your boat, and you need to feel better in your body because you know, your doctor's told you, or you've got carrying some extra weight, or you're just not feeling good, then the only other way is to really clean up your diet. You can actually change your body shape. You can change your energy levels. You can change everything just by eating better, not by, you don't have to exercise hard at all. You can do it without exercise, but you have to be strict about it. So there are other options if exercise is really, really not going to float your boat. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so that was excuse number 3. I don't like exercise. All right, excuse number 4 is I'm not something enough. So I'm not fit enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not flexible enough. I don't have the right gear. You know, I'm not outgoing enough. all of those things, which generally get broken down into, I don't feel good enough. So this is quite a deep and meaningful one, and it's a very personal one. But if you're holding yourself back from feeling better and exercising because you're not feeling enough, whatever that excuse is, whatever the real excuse is probably, I don't feel good enough. So there's so many things you can do. You can try things like, I don't know if you've heard of emotional freedom technique or EFT or tapping, but it's something that you can Google if you haven't heard of it before. But it's actually like a pattern disruptor. So what you do is you do some tapping on your face and on your body, and it sounds completely weird if you've never heard of it before, but you actually say out loud the things that you believe, negative beliefs. You might be like, I'm too fat to exercise, but I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I know this sounds really woo-woo, and it is, so it's not for everybody. But if you are interested in trying something like that, you could Google EFT for exercise, and you would find a video on YouTube about how to do that. But that's a pattern disruptor to change your mindset, change the way you feel about yourself, so that you're more likely to actually get in the gym or get out there and go hiking or try a yoga class or whatever it is that's holding you back, try belly dancing, whatever. So there's that. Another thing is a Hawaiian technique, which is called Ho'oponopono. I can't say it, but it's a forgiveness technique. And basically what you do is you're forgiving people, including yourself, who have ever said bad things about you or your body, and like helping you get over anything that's holding you back. So you would say out loud, you'd write down things that have upset you in the past, and you want to let go of them. So forgiveness, Oprah says, is not about like condoning the behavior and saying that person who told me I was fat is fine. They should say that. It's not that. It's not forgiving in that way. But it's letting go that the past can be any different. So someone might have said something terrible to you in the past. You can't change that. So if you allow yourself to forgive that, then you're letting that go. And you can be lighter just from doing that. So in the forgiveness technique, the Hawaiian one, which I can't say, you say, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. So you say, I forgive you because you're forgiving the past behavior, not condoning it, but letting it go. You say, I'm sorry, because often there's two sides to everything. And maybe it's something you said to yourself, so you're forgiving yourself. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow from this situation. And I love you because it's nice to send out compassion and love to people in the world. So it's, again, a little bit of a woo-woo thing, but it could help you just push past any limiting beliefs that are holding you back. In terms of also, I'm not good enough, or I don't feel good enough, sometimes I've seen some of my clients just buying a new little outfit from Kmart or Target or whatever to come to a class, and it makes them feel so much more confident. So, you could spend 20, 30, 50 bucks on a new top or whatever, and it will actually bring yourself out of your shell and make you feel better about coming to a class. So something small like that can make a huge difference to your confidence. And then again, things like essential oils that I love, or Reiki, or like just throw everything at it. If you're feeling not good enough, you might even want to go and see a psychologist. I did before my surgery. There's no harm in that. So I think, if you're feeling deep down inside that you're not good enough for whatever reason, you need to just throw stuff at it. Throw shit at it until you start feeling better about yourself, because there's nothing worse than holding yourself back from exercise, something that's going to make you feel so good, with this kind of excuse of I'm not good enough. So I know that's a bit deep and meaningful, but just have a think about that in your own life and think about if that's holding you back from taking that step forward into your, a new exercise routine or trying something new in your life. So that's reason number 4, deep and meaningful. And then the last reason is I'm feeling sick or I'm injured. And this reason is a completely legitimate reason. If you've got a little bit of a sniffle, one of my clients tonight, she came to boxing, she's just got a bit of a cold, like it just has come on, and she thought, well, I'm going to try and sweat it out and see what happens. And in that case, that's relatively safe. But if you've got a deep-seated cold, you're on medication for, like a short-term illness, you've had surgery like I have, you've got chronic fatigue, whatever it is, if you've got a medical condition or an injury that needs to be managed by a medical professional, whether it's a GP or just heard a weird noise. Hope no one's breaking in. GP or a physio or a chiro or something like that, then you need to follow their advice. So don't push through. There is no point pushing through because it's just going to hold you back in the longer term. You just want to make sure that you follow their advice. So out of all the 5 excuses, this is the one that you must listen to and follow it through until your doctor or your medical professional clears you. So that's excuse number 5. So that's so far all the excuses. Has anyone got any questions or feel like there are any excuses I haven't covered yet that they'd like me to cover off? Money. Yep, that's a good one. I think there's a few different ways of looking at money, because money can mean, there's a few different things. So I know what it's like when sometimes you have no money whatsoever, and that's very difficult. So there are so many free resources online. For instance, for me personally, I write a new blog post every week about exercise, and sometimes it's an exercise routine, and sometimes it's just more about a mindset stuff around exercise, or things you can do for free, like going hiking or whatever. So there's so many resources online. There's infinite amount of resources online. So there's definitely that. And then the other side to money is just about, and it's not always the case, I completely understand this, but it's about priorities, right? So, this is a bad example. I'm just going to give this example, but I know of clients that have said, look, I can't come to, I've got no money. I can't come to boxing for the next couple of months because I've had to buy like an iPad for my kid. So that's fine, but you did have the money, but you've chosen for whatever reason, probably a very legitimate reason, to buy the iPad instead of to prioritize yourself. So, and often mums in particular, but women as well, they sort of put everybody else first. So again, with the money, you may be able to reprioritize your money in different ways, but otherwise, if you can't, completely understand, there's lots of free resources online. So you don't get sort of the personalized service, but you can get a lot of resources online. So there's that one covers off the money. Christy's said rural isolation, which I completely get for you, Christy. Again, there's a lot of stuff online, but if you want that real community feel, I will be talking about my latest round of Fun Fitness, which is coming up soon. And that's actually, I've done one round of it just recently, and that worked really well. We had people from all around Australia doing it. And there's actually one of my friends lives in Pakistan, and she was doing it. So there are programs, and I'm not saying I'm the only one. There are lots of programs out there now that can support people no matter where you are in the world. So I'll go into a bit more detail about the Fun Fitness in a second, but I think there's definitely the online stuff that's free. And then if you want that more support, there are other ways that we can do it. And, I've even had private clients where I do personal training online and different things as well. So it is possible. It's just, again, a bit of a mindset shift of what you can get out of it. But I'll talk a bit more about the Fun Fitness in a second. Has anyone else got any reasons or anything you want me to cover? Doesn't look like it. Okay. I think for some people as well, the other sort of bonus excuse that I was going to talk about was just that, where do I start? Like, if you haven't exercised for a while, or, you don't know, do I find a personal trainer, or do I go to a yoga class, or what do I do first? And I guess that's where I was going to start talking a little bit more about my fun fitness program, or programs that you can find online, because often you can get everything you need in one sort of package. So with the fun fitness program, and I'm just going to write in the web address so that you can look it up as I speak. So we've just finished, it was a 6-week program, and there was about 25 people doing the program, and it was 6 weeks, and every day of the week there was something that you could do. So there was, sometimes it was going for a walk, or, you know, doing something on your own, cycling, swimming, whatever. And then other days there were set routines. And so there was videos that I had produced that had the routine that you could follow. Some of them were boxing, so you're doing shadow boxing at home. You can do kettlebell routines. There was circuit routines. Some of my yoga videos were put in there. So basically there was something to do every day of the week, including a rest day. So it was 6 days of exercise, 1 day a week where there wasn't. And then there was also an app that you can join for free, and then you become my friend, and all the people in the group all became each other's friends as well. And you log your exercise. So I can see, as your personal trainer, if you're doing much exercise or not, and I can follow you up if you're not. I can also encourage you when you are, so that you can see that someone's keeping an eye on you. And that accountability keeps you going through the 6-week program. And then in week 4, we also did the cleanse detox that I have. So everyone sort of, you know, did that, cleaned up their diet, really changed their energy levels. But I think the main thing was that sense of community around the group. So we had, as I said, there's like 25 people, I think, that did the program. There's already been 2 people that are ready to sign up to the next round, which starts in a couple of weeks. And so I think people really found that sense of community was probably the number one thing that they really enjoyed. So there's also a Facebook group where people can post photos of what they've been doing, or having little brags, or ask questions. And so everyone really felt like they were supported in a community group as well. So I think that's where like an online thing, say for you, Christy, is a great way of still getting that sense of community and sense of support, even when you are in a rural situation, because you've got all the same resources as someone that's here next to me in Albany, and you're still getting that interaction with me. So I had another lady that's from Kendanup was doing the group fitness last time, and things like that as well. So there's a lot that you can get out of it just from doing it online. And yeah, Christine did the group, did the fun fitness in the last group, and she found the accountability was really good. And just knowing other people were doing the exercise at the same time, and just knowing that, you know, you get these little notifications when someone else has done some exercise, and you're like, oh, I should do some too. Or what have they done? And you feel really supported as if you're in a group as well. So that fun fitness program starts again on the 6th of March. So it's just under 2 weeks from now. And again, I'm running it in a fairly similar way. For the people that have done it before, there'll be some new programs in there as well, just to keep things interesting. But it's a really great way to get that accountability, get that support, get started, have that community, feel like you've got a tribe around you that's really supporting you and keeping you motivated at the same time. So it's a great way to sort of get started in your fitness. I had a lady that was in Perth, and she was probably in her 50s, late 50s or early 60s even, from memory. And her goal was just to get back into exercise. And she sent me, I'm just going to read it to you. She sent me an email on Sunday, and she said, thanks for the 6 inspiring weeks that have reset my thinking, motivation, and coaxed me back into my schedule. So exercise is now part of my life, no matter how busy I think I am. I loved it, and hearing via Facebook how everyone else was going. Thanks for being so amazing and thorough in your holistic approach, from Joe. So I think we really underestimate that feeling of community. And Christy, I think you'd understand, like when you're isolated in a rural sense, or, you know, you haven't found the personal trainer that you like in your area, or the gym that you live closest to doesn't have the classes that you like, and you're kind of stuck. then there are options. You can do it in ways that you've never thought about, like doing it online. So with that 6-week program, it starts, as I said, on the 6th of March. At the moment, there's an early bird special price of $150. Then after this weekend, I think it's Monday, it goes up to $199 for the 6-week program. And as I said, that includes your 6 weeks of exercise. It includes the accountability from me, the Facebook group, the community that you get, as well as the cleanse, detox, and all of that sort of stuff as well. So it's fully covered in every single thing that you need. So it's a program like this is a really great way of getting started. So if one of your excuses, I'm not sure what to do or how to get started, then this is a really good way to go, because you can do it in your own time. You're not, stuck at a gym and their timetable. You can sort of fit it into your own routine. All the exercise routines are about half an hour, so you don't need a lot of time either. You get a lot out of it in just 30 minutes a day, 5 to 6 days a week. Yeah. So has anyone got any questions about the fitness program or about the actual training and anything you wanted to know? Does it look like? Cool. Well, so I hope if you've been using the workbook that you got with the webinar, or if you've just been writing notes, has anyone, at the beginning we sort of wrote down what you were trying to achieve or the result you'd like to get out of the training tonight. Is there anything that I haven't covered, or is there something that, does anyone want to share what they wanted to get out of it and how they've gotten that out of the training tonight? Everyone's a bit shy. That's okay. Don't need to share. All right, so that's all I have for the training tonight, and I really appreciate you coming along, and I hope you got something out of it. And for anyone that's watching now, or if you're going to watch the replay later on, if something pops up that you've got questions about, please email me. My email is emma@blueskyhealth.net, or you, of course, can find me on Facebook, and just send me a question. So Micah has said her goal was about trying to make exercise a priority. Kids and work always come first. Was there anything in the training that helped you sort of like change your mindset around that a little bit, or do you feel like you've still got a bit of work to do on that? Because I'd love to know if you could find a minute in the day to do a minute exercise. Could you prioritize a minute? There's no real need to respond, but just have a think about it. Oh, cool. So Mike has just said, yeah, there's some helpful stuff about setting a smaller goal and changing the mindset. Because, yeah, it's when we start thinking you've got to do a whole hour, or, it's got to be at the gym or whatever, that's when it gets really hard. So hopefully that's been helpful of just thinking about it in a different way. Because keep remembering, any exercise is better than none. So if you do 5 minutes, it's better than 0. 2 minutes is better than 0. And once you start getting the benefits of it and feeling that energy and being more productive in life and just feeling better, then you're more likely to find more space for it as well. Anyway, unless anyone's got any other comments, I thank you so much for coming along. Again, emma@blueskyhealth.net if you've got questions. And if you are interested in the 6-week program, you can find it at blueskyvitality.net/6weekfitness for those that are watching the replay, because you won't see the comments. Thank you very much for being here. Oh, I will, Christine. I'll say hello to my belly dancer. Thanks, guys, and I will catch up with you all soon. I hope you have a fantastic night. See you later.